New footage has just resurfaced of the weirdest vice presidential candidate ever, J.D. Vance, attacking Simone Biles. This isn't the first time that J.D. Vance has gone after a beloved celebrity. Just this past week, he went after Jennifer Aniston, calling her disgusting. Here's that clip.
You have Hollywood celebrities saying, oh, well, J.D. Vance, what if your daughter suffered fertility problems? Well, first of all, that's disgusting because my daughter is 2 years old. And second of all, if she had fertility problems, as I said in that speech, I would try everything I could to try to help her because I believe families and babies are a good thing. That's the whole point, is if you believe families and babies are a good thing, you should be trying to promote life. You should try to promote the fact that we want to have a good family policy in this country. That is what's so profoundly wrong about where the Democrats have gone. And I think we have to fight back against this, Megan. I think a lot of people, the media has been attacking me and this is how it goes. We cannot give up an inch on.
I'll tell you what's profoundly wrong. What's profoundly wrong is a man like J.D. Vance, who has no business being in anyone's life, trying to dictate who and what is morally correct in our country. And his obsession with childless parents is weird. It's weird. Another clip I'm going to show you after the Simone Biles clip, saying he wants to have a war against childless Americans. This man's not right in the head. I don't think the Trump campaign did any vetting on this guy. None. Here's the clip where he goes after beloved Olympian Simone Biles.
Did she let down the country, do you think?
Well, I think obviously it's understandable that she was going through an incredible amount of pressure. What I find so weird about this is that we've tried to turn a very tragic moment, Simone Biles quitting the Olympic team, into this act of heroism. And I think it reflects pretty poorly on our sort of therapeutic society that we try to praise people not for moments of strength, not for moments of heroism, but for their weakest moments. And look, being an athlete is tough. Being an athlete at that level is incredibly tough. A normal response in this moment would be to say, it's just a shame that she's going through this. It's a shame that she quit. But instead, what our press has done, I think, is turn this into this weird therapeutic moment. Let's praise her for doing this. And I think that's really where the problem here lies.
First off, this guy has no business critiquing an athlete like Simone Biles. That's first. Secondly, it is not weak to admit that you are not ready to do something. If you are not mentally capable, you're not physically capable, instead of pushing yourself, taking care of yourself is one of the strongest things you can do. I am sick of these men who have faux masculinity trying to push their ideology on everyone. If you think it's weak, J.D. Vance, to not take care of yourself, fine. That's a terrible way to live. But it also is just showing his whole ass that he's acting like this towards someone that's so beloved, like Simone Biles. And again, I just don't know what the strategy here is, going after these people who are just loved by a large amount of Americans. I don't know what Simone Biles' favorabilities are, but I would wager they're much higher than J.D. Vance's. And then in this next clip that just came out, again, I don't think the Trump campaign did any vetting. J.D. Vance says that he's going to go to war against childless people, and he calls them sad, lonely, and pathetic. Very nice. Let's watch.
The best way to invest in it is to ensure the next generation actually exists. So I think sending those signals via policy, but the cultural messaging of politicians is important. I also think, just to be a little stark about this, I think we have to go to war against the anti-child ideology that exists in our country. A few weeks ago, no, Twitter is not real life, but I forget even what caused it, but there was this ridiculous effort by millennial feminist writers to talk about why having kids was not a good thing, why they were glad they didn't have kids, and even encouraging people who had had children to talk about why they regretted having children, which of course is like
Mother's Day book.
On Mother's Day, which is like psychologically deranged to ask mothers on Mother's Day to talk about why they regretted having children. And what it made me realize is that so much of what drives elite culture is mediocre millennial journalists who haven't gotten out of their career what they thought they would, right? And the thing is, everybody can be an exceptional mother and father. Not everybody can be an exceptional journalist at the New York Times. And not enough people have accepted that if they put their entire life's meaning into their credential, into where they went to school, into what kind of job they have, if you put all of your life's meaning into that, you're going to be the sort of person who asks women to talk about how they regret having children. You're going to be a sad, lonely, pathetic person, and you're going to know it internally, so you're going to project it onto people who have actually built something more meaningful with their lives. I think we have to go to war against that ideology and the people behind it, because we need to say to the people in my hometown, I've seen this with, just to be honest, with my sister. I love my sister is just the best person. I love her to death. And sometimes, she'll say things to me like, maybe I should have delayed having kids. Maybe I should have went to school. Maybe I should have did this or that. And it's like, Lindsay, you've been a great mom. Your children are happy. They're healthy. You've taken good care of them. You've shown me. She was my older sister. She took care of me a lot in a very chaotic home. People like my sister should not feel like the cultural messaging is your life is inadequate. The people who are sending that message should feel that their life is inadequate. And of course,
so a lot going on in that clip. One, going to war against people who don't have kids is what he's doing. And I got to say, if he's going to war with people who don't have kids, he is losing that war big time. The past week has not been great for him. And I want to say that him going after, what he's really doing is going after women who work, which is something that is still relatively new. Like, think about it. Like, I think, when was it? In like the 70s, women could start getting credit cards under their own name. They didn't have to be under their husband's name. And so this idea of like a truly independent woman is still very new and very fresh. And it's clear that people like JD Vance, if you are a woman who is working, JD Vance, Trump, they are not on your side. They think you are sad, lonely, and pathetic because you have decided to do something that you think is best for yourself, rather than having kids. He thinks it's meaningful to have kids, and because he thinks it's meaningful, it should be meaningful for everyone. That's just not how things work. Everyone has their own idea of what their best actualization of their life is. If your life best actualized is having kids and working part-time and being married, that's great. That's awesome. I'm glad that works for you. It's the same thing with gay marriage. Like, if your best life is to be straight and that's who you are, good. But stop trying to control people who are different. This is a big, beautiful country, and we should be supporting people who want to live differently than the majority of Americans, as long as they're not harming anyone. And there's no harm. In fact, we have seen a huge increase in our national GDP because women went to the workforce. I actually just cannot believe it's 2024. It's 2024, and we are still arguing about this. That is why it is imperative Kamala Harris wins, because I think it'll be such a before and after with all this crap. We have to reject this ideology forcefully. And if you're a woman, I'm so sorry that this is being put out into our culture like this. It's just so disturbing. But thankfully, we have a great person running on our side who is a complete contrast to this. And that's something that they cannot change. We just have to make sure that we push her past the finish line in November.
I know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?